Welcome, chosen ones, to a message of transformation and truth. Have you ever wondered why your decision to walk away from drama shakes the very foundations of those around you? It's not just an act of self-preservation. It's a divine declaration of your worth and purpose. When you prioritize peace over chaos, you're aligning with God's will, and that choice holds power far beyond what the world can understand. The Bible teaches us in Proverbs 4:23, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." As chosen ones, your ability to set boundaries and walk away is not a weakness, it's an act of faith and obedience. You are called to reflect God's light, and sometimes that means stepping away from the darkness that others cling to. In this video, we'll explore why your decision to detach from toxicity leaves others reeling, and how it forces them to confront truths they'd rather avoid. Stay with us as we delve into the spiritual wisdom of walking away, uncovering how it transforms your life and inspires others to seek God's peace. If this resonates with you, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and join a growing community of believers walking boldly in their faith. Let's journey together toward clarity, strength, and divine purpose. Stay tuned. This message was made for you. 1. Introduction to the power of walking away. Walking away is often misunderstood in a world that values confrontation and control. However, for the chosen ones, walking away is not a sign of weakness, but a powerful act of faith and divine strength. It is an intentional decision to protect the peace God has placed within us, a declaration that we prioritize God's will over the chaos of the world. Proverbs 4:23 reminds us, "Guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." Walking away from toxic relationships, negative environments, or unnecessary conflict is a way of guarding our hearts, preserving the peace and spiritual focus that God desires for us. This act is not about escaping, but about choosing a higher path of peace and trust in God's plan. Just as Jesus withdrew from the crowds to pray and focus on God's will, Luke 5:16, we too are called to step away from the noise and distractions that pull us away from our divine purpose. Walking away is not an abandonment of others, but an alignment with God's plan for our lives, showing that we are committed to His peace, not the chaos of the world. By stepping away, we allow God to fill the space with His wisdom, clarity, and guidance. This decision is an act of faith, trusting that God will lead us where we need to go. 2. Setting boundaries is an act of faith. Setting boundaries is an essential act of faith, one that ensures we protect the peace and purpose God has designed for us. Boundaries are not about being harsh or unkind. They are necessary protections to preserve our spiritual and emotional well-being. Proverbs 25:28 tells us, "Like a city whose walls are broken through is a person who lacks self-control." Without boundaries, we leave ourselves vulnerable to manipulation, negativity, and distractions that can derail our relationship with God. By setting boundaries, we are intentionally guarding our hearts, minds, and souls, ensuring that we remain aligned with God's will. Jesus Himself demonstrated the importance of setting boundaries. In Luke 5:16, He withdrew from the crowds to pray, choosing solitude and connection with the Father over the demands of the world. Similarly, we must withdraw from situations or people that drain our energy or distract us from God's purpose. Boundaries are not about isolation, but about creating the space needed to focus on God's calling for our lives. By saying no to what doesn't serve us, we say yes to a life fully devoted to God's will. Setting these boundaries is a form of trust, acknowledging that God will take care of the people and situations we step away from, and that His plan is always greater than the temporary discomfort we may feel. 3. Seeing the storm before it starts. Discernment is a precious gift from God, allowing the chosen ones to recognize potential dangers and avoid spiritual harm before it escalates. James 1:5 tells us, "If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives generously to all without reproach, and it will be given to him." This divine wisdom sharpens over time as we grow closer to God through prayer and reflection. The ability to perceive the storm before it begins is not a mere instinct, but a spiritual gift that helps us protect our peace and avoid unnecessary conflict. When you sense something is off, you don't wait for the situation to unfold into chaos. You act in faith, trusting that God is showing you the way. Walking away before the storm hits isn't a sign of fear, but of wisdom. Just as Jesus withdrew to pray and reflect, knowing when to engage and when to retreat, Mark 1:35, we too must recognize the moments when it's time to step away. This ability to see the signs and make a decision based on discernment allows you to avoid being drawn into unnecessary turmoil. This gift of discernment is an essential tool for spiritual protection. It is God's way of guiding us, keeping us aligned with His will, and ensuring that we stay focused on our higher calling, rather than becoming distracted by conflicts and chaos. 4. Walking away for peace, not power. In a world where power and control are often seen as marks of strength, walking away can sometimes be misunderstood as weakness. However, for the chosen ones, walking away is a profound act of prioritizing peace over worldly power. Matthew 5:9 teaches, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God." Walking away is not about conceding defeat or avoiding conflict. It is about making a conscious decision to choose God's peace over the chaos of the world. The world expects us to fight for control, to prove our worth, and to dominate situations. But true spiritual strength is found in the ability to let go and trust God's plan. By walking away from toxic relationships or draining environments, you are choosing a higher purpose, one that aligns with God's will and prioritizes your peace. Jesus showed us the importance of seeking peace over power. In John 14:27, He said, "Peace I leave with you. My peace I give you." He understood that true peace comes from following God's will, not from engaging in endless battles for control. Choosing peace is not about avoiding responsibility or retreating from challenges. It's about recognizing that some battles are not ours to fight. Walking away for peace is a way of surrendering to God, trusting that He will fight for you and that His peace will guide your steps. 5. How your energy lights the path. The energy you carry as a follower of Christ is not merely your own. It's a reflection of God's presence in your life. When you walk in alignment with God's will, your energy becomes a powerful force that lights the way for others. Matthew 5:14-16 reminds us, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden." This divine light is not something we generate, but something that comes from God, shining through us to illuminate the paths of those around us. Your energy has the power to uplift and guide others. It's a force that draws people toward peace, truth, and love. When you walk in God's light, you cannot help but radiate His love, making others feel seen, heard, and encouraged. This energy is contagious. It brings hope, joy, and a sense of direction to those in darkness. But as powerful as this energy is, it must be protected. By walking away from toxic environments or negative influences, you safeguard the peace and energy God has entrusted to you. When you protect this energy by setting boundaries and walking away from what doesn't serve your higher purpose, you ensure that it remains pure, powerful, and focused on God's will. In doing so, you become a beacon for others, showing them that peace and alignment with God's will is the true source of light. 6. How light overcomes darkness. When you walk in God's light, you become an agent of truth, and truth has the power to expose deception. John 8:12 reminds us that Jesus is the light of the world, and that those who follow Him will never walk in darkness. As a chosen one, you reflect that light, and by living in alignment with God's truth, you expose the lies and darkness that exist in the world around you. Light, by its very nature, overcomes darkness. When you choose to walk away from toxic situations or relationships, you are not just protecting yourself. You are allowing God's truth to shine through. You make it clear that the lies and manipulation of the world cannot thrive in the presence of God's light. This doesn't require confrontation. It's simply the act of walking in truth. By doing so, you expose the darkness without needing to engage in every conflict. Jesus modeled this when He walked through life with unwavering truth, exposing what was hidden in darkness. By walking away from deceit and chaos, you become a living witness of God's light, inviting others to step into that same light. Your absence from negativity makes space for truth to be revealed, allowing God's light to shine even brighter in your life. 7. The boldness of self-preservation. Choosing yourself is not a selfish act. It's a bold and necessary one. Matthew 22:39 tells us to love our neighbors as ourselves, which means that taking care of yourself is a prerequisite to being able to care for others. Walking away from toxic situations or relationships is an act of spiritual maturity. It's about honoring the life and peace God has given you, understanding that you cannot pour from an empty cup. In a world that often encourages self-sacrifice at the expense of one's own well-being, choosing to protect your peace takes courage. When you walk away from what harms your spiritual health, you are acknowledging your worth in God's eyes and choosing to prioritize your relationship with Him. Jesus Himself took moments to retreat, rest, and pray. Mark 1:35, demonstrating that self-care is essential for fulfilling God's purpose. Choosing self-preservation is about trusting that God will provide and guide you as you walk in alignment with His will. It takes boldness to recognize when something is no longer beneficial to your spiritual well-being and to step away from it. But in doing so, you make space for God to fill you with His peace and strength, allowing you to serve others from a place of fullness rather than emptiness. 8. Revealing true colors in absence. Sometimes, it's only in your absence that others reveal their true nature. When you step away from toxic situations or relationships, people are often forced to confront their own behavior and intentions. In 1 John 4:20, we're reminded, whoever claims to love God yet hates a brother or sister is a liar. Your decision to walk away from something that no longer serves you exposes the true nature of those involved, forcing them to reveal what they were previously hiding. Those who relied on your presence to maintain their false narratives may react with anger, guilt, or defensiveness, but in their reaction, their true colors are revealed. Your absence acts as a mirror, showing them who they truly are, whether they are ready to confront it or not. Sometimes, it is in walking away that the truth comes to light. It forces others to either face their flaws or remain trapped in denial. Your decision to leave doesn't just protect your peace. It also provides others with an opportunity to see their own behavior clearly. The act of walking away can lead to growth, reconciliation, or even a deeper understanding of their own actions, encouraging them to make changes that align more closely with God's will. 9. Decision over debate. In life, not every disagreement needs to be resolved through debate. Proverbs 17:28 teaches us that even fools are thought wise if they keep silent. Sometimes the wisest thing you can do is make a decision and walk away, choosing silence over endless arguments. Engaging in debate often escalates tension and draws you deeper into conflict. However, when you make a firm decision and choose to walk away, you preserve your peace and avoid unnecessary strife. Jesus exemplified this in Matthew 27:12-14, when he chose silence in the face of accusations. His silence was not an act of defeat. It was an act of trust in God's justice. Similarly, when you choose not to engage in debates or futile arguments, you allow God to take control of the situation. You trust that His truth will be revealed in due time, and that peace will prevail without your need to fight every battle. Choosing decision over debate is about recognizing when further engagement will only drain you and lead to more conflict. By walking away, you protect your peace and give space for God's will to unfold, trusting that His truth will shine brighter than any debate or argument. 10. Strategic refocusing on God's path. Walking away is not about retreating. It's a strategic realignment with God's divine purpose for your life. Jeremiah 29:11 reassures us that, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future." When you step away from distractions, negativity, or unhealthy relationships, you make room for God's plan to unfold more clearly in your life. By walking away, you realign yourself with God's purpose, refocusing on what truly matters. This realignment allows you to pursue the path He has set before you, knowing that His plan is always better than anything you could hold on to. Walking away from what no longer serves God's will helps you grow spiritually and positions you to receive the blessings and opportunities He has for you. It's not about running from difficulty, but about staying focused on God's path for your life. 11. Leading by example. Your actions speak louder than words. In 1 Timothy 4:12, we are told to, "Let no one despise you for your youth, but set the believers an example in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, in purity." When you choose to walk away from toxic situations or relationships, you set an example for others to follow. Your decision to prioritize peace and remain aligned with God's will sends a powerful message that others can emulate. By walking away from drama, chaos, or negativity, you show others that it is possible to choose peace over conflict. Your example encourages others to set boundaries, trust in God's plan, and walk away from situations that compromise their spiritual health. When others see you walking away with grace, without guilt or shame, they are inspired to make similar choices in their own lives. Your example becomes a living testimony to the strength of living in alignment with God's will, and it leads others to do the same. Choosing peace over chaos is not just for your own benefit. It is for the benefit of those around you. You inspire others to prioritize their well-being and to trust God with the outcomes of difficult situations. When you lead by example, you encourage others to follow the path of righteousness, to set healthy boundaries, and to trust in God's perfect plan for their lives. 12. Becoming a divine reflection. As the chosen ones, our lives are meant to reflect God's wisdom, grace, and truth. In 2 Corinthians 3:18, we are reminded that we are being transformed into God's image with ever-increasing glory, which comes from the Lord, who is the Spirit. Every time you choose to walk away from what doesn't align with God's will, you reflect His character more clearly to the world around you. Your actions, rooted in God's wisdom, become a mirror of His truth. Walking away for peace is not just an act of self-preservation. It is an opportunity to mirror God's divine grace and wisdom to others. As you choose peace over conflict, you reflect God's heart for reconciliation and love. Your decisions to walk away from toxic situations, to set boundaries, and to prioritize your spiritual health are acts of divine reflection. They show others what it means to live in alignment with God's will, to trust His guidance, and to walk in His truth. By walking away, you allow God's light to shine through you, making His truth and grace visible to all who see you. Your actions, rooted in God's wisdom, become a testament to His love and power, inviting others to follow His path and live in His peace. Walking away is not a sign of defeat or retreat, but an act of faith, wisdom, and divine strength. It is a conscious decision to prioritize peace, to protect the work God has done in your life, and to trust that His will is greater than any temporary conflict or struggle. Each decision to walk away is a step toward realigning yourself with God's plan, creating space for His peace, love, and guidance to flow more freely in your life. As you walk in God's peace, you not only protect yourself, but also set an example for others to follow. Your actions reflect His wisdom, grace, and truth, inspiring those around you to choose peace over chaos, clarity over confusion, and God's will over the noise of the world. When you walk away, you walk toward a life that reflects God's love, purpose, and peace, becoming a beacon of light to those who need it most. Remember, each step you take away from negativity is a step closer to fulfilling the divine purpose God has for your life. Let your actions speak louder than words, and let your choices reflect His light to the world.